Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, Bash Brothers Fishing DMV. Got a banger of a video up for you today. Doing things a little bit different on this one. I typically will post a video showing all the details as I go along building out these boats. But in this video, I'm gonna do a video to get you caught up in totality where I am up to this point. A lot of time, a lot of hours have gone into this build, but don't worry guys, I'm still gonna keep the format you've grown to love on this channel, providing a lot of details and information on how to do this. Because the goal here is to inspire others to build out their own boats and not be afraid to take on a challenge like this and do it, because in reality, you can do it too. So don't worry, as always, I will post detailed videos on this boat build right behind me. I also wanna take time to thank everyone for their feedback, and I asked for suggestions and things that I could incorporate in this build, and you guys delivered. I won't be able to get everything done in this boat. The scope has changed a bit. I decided that I'm actually not gonna keep this boat when it's done. This is gonna be a boat that I will sell after I'm done doing all this work to it. So that did change the scope a bit, where I can't go all out like I did on my first boat. So I'd have to keep this within a certain budget. This is not really a budget build as much as I'd like for it to be, because I don't want to get in over my head and then this works out to be a bad financial deal. Don't worry, I'm still gonna make this thing, and it's already shaping up to be a dope boat, and definitely a keeper, but somebody else is gonna be blessed with this boat right behind me. So I'm not gonna delay this any longer. Let's get into it, guys. Let's see what I've been doing. All right, guys, the first thing I needed to do is get started on framing. To do this, I got a kit from Nate at TV Nation Outdoors. Inside this kit includes 200 countersink rivets, 100 regular pop rivets, both 3/16 inch. Also have two 6-foot 1¼ inch tubes and 10 6-foot 1½ angle aluminum. This is an excellent kit to use when building out a 1436 just like this. Also, to make this boat awesome, decided to pick up a few goodies to enhance this boat build, starting out with the recessed tray for the trolling motor foot pedal. Previously I've used an all plastic one, but picked this one up from TV Nation as well, all powder coated in black. Looks amazing and should be very durable, should stand the test of time. And trying out something new on this build I've never used before, and this is the trolling motor mount, also on tvnation.net, powder coated in black. This is made out of aluminum as well. It's totally adjustable, so you can adjust it to the height that you need it for your trolling motor to work on your boat. And it comes pre-drilled for mounting. Got this transom mounting bracket. This will be used to protect the transom of the boat. To install it, all you have to do is slide it over your existing transom and bolt it in. This right here I'm pretty excited about. Something I wish I had on my boat so I could stop spilling stuff all over the place is this gear caddy. This will be a nice addition to the boat. Has a decent sized cup holder on it, as well as it holds your gears. So if you want to store your pliers or stick baits on there for easy access later, this is the perfect solution for that. The bottom of the cup holder has a small port on it, so any buildup of condensation or water gets in there will drain right out. One of the main differences in framing out the boat this go round is installing the side rails right onto the side of the boat using 3/16 inch rivets all the way along. This will provide the main supports for a lot of the structure that'll be later installed and framed out on the boat. A bandsaw is really good for this. It's an excellent tool to cut angle aluminum really quickly. It's the fastest tool, I believe, out there. You don't have to set up a table saw, jigsaw making 2 separate cuts. One time, slices right through it, done deal. Because the ribs stick up, I wanna make sure that I know where to notch out. I'll need to notch out for the rib that's over there. The idea is you make cuts right into the aluminum that will allow the aluminum to flex and bend and contour to the curvature of the boat. And you wanna make cuts about 2 to 3 inches apart, depending on how it fits on here. I try to keep it uniform, because keep in mind, the rivets are gonna show on the outside of the boat. So you don't wanna like bunch up rivets, one here, one spread out. I mean, you could, all personal preference, but for me, I like to space out the rivets as equally as I can, so cosmetically on the outside of the boat, everything looks good. You'll see here, and I did this a long time ago actually, though this has had a lot of time to dry, probably over a month. I custom painted my rivets, same exact paint I used to paint the boat, so it'll be a perfect match on the outside of the boat. It'll do the best job at hiding the rivets, because you don't want to see these silver shiny rivets unless it matches some design you got going on. I like to paint the rivets so that they're very much hidden on the outside of the boat. So what I did here is mark the lines offset from each other, from the top of the rail to the bottom of the rail. This will allow the aluminum to completely flex to the contour of the boat. And on this boat, it's a very significant curve. I made sure I did 3 inches apart and just eyeball the other side and did the center. So those should be 3 inches roughly apart as well. This is where I absolutely love using a bandsaw for this, because as you can see, I have tons of cuts to do. But with this tool right here, I do it really, really quickly. One last but important step for the side rails is to bend down the edges so that it's flat for decking. This right here is a great technique for just creating really strong framing, especially when using thin aluminum like this, 1/16 inch thickness. And that's joining up 2 pieces, creating a T, butting them up together and riveting them together. This is another technique that I didn't do a whole lot of in previous builds, but this will definitely pay off, especially when it comes time to lay down decking. This will be a wood deck, so I need space in there to screw in hatch lids and so on. Nothing prefab here. It's all going to be custom done with wood. Takes more time, takes more attention, but in the end it'll be worth it. So framing the front deck had to be sure to have enough space for hatches, and I'm slated to have 2 hatches up front aside from the middle bench. I'll have 1 big hatch up front behind the foot tray and then 1 long hatch to the right. I was considering putting 1 on the left as well, but decided not to, because if you have the trolling motor open, it will block the hatch door. I might change my mind later, but for now that's what I'm slated to do. We'll see. While being sure to maintain 90-degree angles for all my hatch openings, I teed up the hatch openings as well. This will create maximum support for wood hatch lids. Inside the middle hatches will be my battery compartment. In order to prep the space to install the batteries, I needed to fill it with foam, which is always a good thing, adding back foam wherever you take any out. As you just saw, top rail is in and the 2 bottom tracks are in as well. I laid the first track down onto the aluminum tubing that I laid down as the rib of the boat, and ultimately I'll put some uprights that will support this top rail as well. This 1/16 inch aluminum is not strong enough to be load bearing across. I think this is like 50+ inches right here. So you definitely want to put some uprights to support body weight. But I won't be putting in the uprights right now because I'll be putting in a center wall, and I don't want anything to interfere with where I put the uprights. So if I put the uprights in the wrong place, I'll have to move them and so on. So just looking ahead and preventing a potential mistake there. So I'll put the uprights up later once I know where my divider goes. For the second bottom track, I riveted into the bench, and what I went with was a very short rivet. So the stem of this is 1/4 inch, and I put several rivets in to keep that track in place. There's nothing really underneath it holding it. It's all the rivets going into the bench. The reason why I went with a very short rivet is because on the back end, inside the hatch, I did not want them sticking out very far. Just cosmetically, it doesn't look that great to me, but also I don't want it sticking out and potentially interfering with anything that I'll be building out inside the hatch. So as you can see, down there, it's barely sticking out. So what I'm gonna do really quick right here, again, just thinking ahead, right? You do enough of these jobs, you can kind of get ahead of some of the things that you know you need to think about. I'm gonna mark where I put each rivet. So I'm just gonna put 1 little piece, 1 little mark by each one. When I put the floor down inside the hatch, I'm gonna end up covering up each one of these rivets. I won't be able to know where they are. By me marking it, I know where they are, and I'll know to rivet in between the rivets down here in the rail. Of course, when I'm done, I'll go back and clean off my markings. So in the end, it's nice and clean. This plastic right here is called Duralar, and this is the 0.003 thickness. This so far has turned out to be a great way to template out for cuts. And I saw Michael Lopez use this, and it worked out pretty good for him. So I said, let me try it out for myself. I love trying out new materials to see how it'll work, and it worked out pretty good. I feel in the end sped up the process for templating out this sheet floor right here. One thing I did differently was to use countersink rivets on the base floor to support the center wall. I did that because ultimately I plan to turf the middle hatches, and I want to eliminate as much as possible any bulge in the turf when I install it. So going with the countersink rivets is the best way to go, because when you install it and do it properly, you recess these rivets and they have a flat head, so everything is flush and flat in the end. Therefore, no bulge in your turf. This middle hatch wall is 8.040 aluminum, keeping this thing very, very lightweight. Securing it down with 1/8 rivets and teeing it up. I have that 2 double teed up angle holding it together. Just pinched the wall right in between the aluminum and just riveted everything together. Made it really solid that way. Anchored the floor down with another piece of angle. So in the end, very strong structure right here in the center of the boat, which is pivotal. This will be weight bearing, so I felt really good about the way I put this together and should hold up pretty well. Of course, this is the area in the boat where you jump around catching the big ones. The Livewell will be located inside the rear bench of the boat. I'm pretty excited about this part of the build because this actually is my first Livewell install. This Livewell install is something that anyone can do. I used a reciprocating saw to cut the foam and then followed up with a crowbar to remove the pieces easily. Using a rotary tool made quick, simple, easy work of removing the handles from the tote. And this is just a quick customization that will allow the tote to easily fit down inside the bench. I used a 1-inch hole saw to make the cutout for the 90-degree through hole fit. This will serve as the drain for the Livewell to drain out any remaining water in the Livewell. I decided to go with a side hatch right next to the Livewell. So it's all about cutting out one more hatch into this bench. I figured this would be a really cool way to go about doing this. In the end, it will keep all the plumbing for the Livewell hidden as opposed to having everything located inside the rear hatch. I know I really didn't need to do this, but decided to break out the orbital sander and clean out underneath this bench. None of this will be visible, but you know, I'm already in there, why not? So made quick work of it, sanded out the old brown residue, wiped it down thoroughly with acetone, vacuumed it out as well to remove any debris, did one more wipe down, and it was ready for paint. Painting it was a strategic move. This provided a protective coating underneath the bench, which worked out really well. Ironically, the color is aluminum of all colors. Knowing I needed some type of splash guard for this Livewell, I repurposed the lid of the tote by cutting out the centerpiece. This will help to prevent water splash and water getting outside the Livewell. For the Livewell, I'm going with the Flow-Right aerator pump out combo. This Livewell system will have 2 pumps. First pump will be the recirc and pump out. Second pump will be the pump water in. I decided to go this route as opposed to installing an additional regulator to utilize one pump to do all 3, and also figured it was good to separate the functions. That way the workload isn't on one single pump. Right here, just getting all the fittings installed for the pump out and pump in. Since I have everything tucked away inside, that small hatch to pump in is located on the side of the boat and capped it off with a strainer. Now that I've done the initial installation, making sure everything fits tight and fits properly, I can go ahead and seal it up. I use 3M 5200 permanent sealer. To me, this is the strongest stuff out on the market. This is a permanent sealant that will stand the test of time, but guys, this is some of the messiest stuff on earth. You'll notice here, I started out wearing gloves, and in the end, the gloves were out the window and the sealant was everywhere all over my hands. Actually took me a whole week to get all of that off my hands. There are a lot of details when installing a Livewell, so don't worry, I will post a dedicated video on this Livewell install, so stay tuned to the channel for that video. At this point, I can go ahead and finish framing out the rear deck. I needed to wait till after I had the Livewell installed inside the bench because everything will be built off of this Livewell. The Livewell will dictate the height of the bench as well as the framing for the rear deck. So here I go again, making all the cuts in the aluminum to get it all prepped to be installed. At this point, I was feeling pretty lazy and decided to shortcut this, and typically that's not a good idea, but it was late at night, but I needed to cut the angle so that it would fit around the bench. So I drilled out a bunch of pilot holes, grabbed a Sharpie to connect the dots, and started cutting with my jigsaw. I needed to make sure the Livewell was secured to the boat. To secure the tote to the boat, I decided to go with 1x1 angled aluminum. That's 1 inch by 1 inch. That was a low enough profile to where the brackets met the height of the Livewell cover. Once that was done, I could then frame out the rear of the bench. As part of the angle framing on the rear of the bench, I decided to utilize that to secure the Livewell tote down as well. Using 3 3/16 inch long rivets, I riveted the Livewell sides right into the angle. At At the front of the bench, I'm just laying down a single track going straight across. I'll have to do some figuring out around this, adding some aluminum wherever I need to as the build progresses. I'm sure I'll need to add aluminum in strategic places just to make it all come together. On to the final framing of the rear deck. What I'm going with is an open concept underneath the rear hatch. I want this to be fully accessible so whoever gets this boat can decide exactly how they want to utilize this area. So I need a big enough hatch opening to accommodate anything from more batteries to a gas tank, you name it. To get this done, I measured and cut 2 pieces of angle, at least to start with. I'll probably end up adding more later and riveting it together from the rear of the bench to the actual transom of the boat. There you have it. What a ride this has been. What you just saw was a short video that covered hours and hours and hours, countless hours of work. Hope you guys appreciate everything that I've included here. Try to give you a realistic view of where I am with the boat and what it took to get there at a high level. From here, it's all about doing the electrical work, then it's on to the decking, installing the graph, installing the trolling motor, whatever else needs to be done, putting final touches on it. This is shaping up to be yet another awesome build. Appreciate you guys hanging and riding along with me as always. And guys, for all your boat build needs, and I do mean all of it, check tbnation.net. They have everything you could need. Check out tbnation.net and use my promo code BBF5 for 5% off your next order. And for other perks or discounts, check the description as well. Got YOLO Tech and Amped Outdoors, also TH Marine, linked in the description below. Everything helps out this channel, helps this channel grow, so we truly appreciate your support. Again, the detailed videos with all the bells and whistles will be posted on this channel. Those videos will include product links, the whole 9 yards, so stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, help it trend on YouTube. With that being said, guys, I gotta get on to editing my next video, trying to get caught up. Love you guys, appreciate you hanging with me. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.